Let's start.
So, good afternoon, everyone. We will start. I think this is the ninth lecture in the series of lectures given by eminent people from the INAE Chennai chapter. Because INA Chennai chapter has been quite active and we have been having lectures. So, this is the ninth lecture. And the ninth lecture is being given by Professor B.S. Murthy, who was our friend and colleague in IIT Madras, now the director
Still,
of IIT Hyderabad. So the title of his talk will be Atma Nirbhar Bharat through reforms in engineering education. The topic of his talk is very relevant for us. And I will just introduce the speaker who doesn't need any introduction. Actually, we have been as part of the panel on engineering education with INAE, and we had attended a number of meetings. I will just give a brief introduction about Professor B.S. Murthy, because we know
very
him very
brief,
well.
sir, please.
Yeah, right. So Professor B.S. Murthy started his academic journey with a diploma in metallurgy in 1983 and obtained his BE in 1986 from VRCE Nagpur, and he got his ME and PhD respectively in 1988 and 1992 from IISc Bangalore. After serving at IIT Kharagpur for 12 years between 1992 and 2004, he has been a professor at IIT Madras for 15 years, 2004 to 2019, before taking up the director's position at IIT Hyderabad in August 2019. He is an institute professor at IIT Madras and an adjunct professor at Toronto Metropolitan University and University of British Columbia, Canada. He has authored 465 journal publications and 4 books. He has supervised 49 PhDs, and currently 13 PhDs are working under his guidance. He has completed 75 sponsored research projects amounting to nearly 105 crores, $13 million, equivalent to that, and has filed 20 patents. He is a recipient of the prestigious Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Award, Distinguished Alumnus Award of the Institute of Science and VNIT, and the National Metallurgist Award. And he has an honorary doctorate from Deakin University and a Lifetime Achievement Award of IIT Madras and EMSI. He is a fellow of the Third World Academy of Sciences, Asia Pacific Academy of Materials, ASM International, Indian National Academy of Engineering, and all the three science academies of India. He is currently the vice president, so for the Metal Sciences Division of the Indian Institute of Metals. So he's a good friend of mine, and he had been a long-standing colleague in IIT Madras, and they had also been in many committees in INAE. And I am very happy to welcome Professor Murthy to give his talk on Atma Nirbhar Bharat in engineering education. Now the floor is yours, Professor B.S. Murthy.
Thank you, Professor Narayanan. Thanks a lot. As Professor Narayanan rightly pointed out, we have been together in so many committees of INAE, worked together under INAE, and this is a good opportunity that he has given me to speak. And for all of you, this is not a technical talk. We are all used to giving technical talks, and I am still. It is not that I have left my research, and I still have 13 PhD students. Tomorrow, every Sunday, 10 o'clock in the morning, my meeting with my students starts, goes until 5 o'clock in the evening. So every Sunday, I spend time with my PhD students, and that goes on. But then this time, I just thought possibly, it is relevant. INAE, once upon a time, INAE gave me something called Outstanding Teacher Award. So the teaching, I strongly believe that there are a lot of reforms that we need to bring in. And this position as director of IIT Hyderabad has given me enough opportunity to experiment a lot of things. And I thought possibly I will share with you some of those experiments that we have done, which we, at least some of us at IIT Hyderabad strongly believe are needed at this particular juncture when India talks about Atma Nirbhar Bharat. Okay, and a self-reliant India, and at the same time become at least aspiring to become a global leader in a number of fields. So if India has to really become self-reliant and it wants to lead in a few, at least in areas, it is important that educational institutions should generate human resources which help India in that particular direction. Okay, so for some time, I mean, all of us are aware that there has been a significant gap between the academia and industry. Everybody talks about this particular gap. And it's important, at least I strongly believe, and quite a number of people whom I interact also said this, that education should have two focuses. One, education should be student centric, it should be flexible, and it should be able to give a lot of freedom for students to choose whatever they would like to do. Somehow, typically, engineering education, at least what I have got during my BTech days or my master's days, typically is mostly is quite straight-jacketed. Okay, so it has very little flexibility. So that's something which is essential. The second is particularly engineering education, in my view, and as I told quite a number of people around that I discuss with, say it should be more industry centric, because engineering education should create people who can move the industry in a direction towards Atmanirbhar. Okay, so keeping these 2 points in mind, so my whole next half an hour of talk is going to revolve around these two aspects. How do we bring in reforms in education so that education is more student centric and at the same time industry centric? How do we work together with industry to ensure that we grow together? And as we grow together, that country grows. Okay, in a direction where we start not only becoming self-reliant, but at the same time a global leader. So that's the philosophy of this particular talk. So let me begin saying that when I started coming to IIT Hyderabad, a few things that have attracted me at IIT Hyderabad. IIT Hyderabad is the first institution in the country which has started what is called fractal academics. Okay, many of you are aware of this, and quite most of the IITs have typically courses which stretch for the whole semester, a 3-credit course typically. Whereas at IIT Hyderabad, a semester is broken into 6 segments, which indicates that we can have a 0.5 credit course, 1 credit, 1.5, 2, 2.53. Okay, all these are possible. And that basically means you give a lot of, I would say, possibilities for students to explore. So typically we want students to take a number of 1-credit courses and find out what their interests are. And then once they identify that, they go deeper into that particular area and do more 3-credit or a 2-credit courses. This is one which is called a T-type learning. People talk about it. This is something which IIT Hyderabad has, kind of nurtured it now for 14, 15 years now. 14 years we have completed. We have entered into the 15th year. And this is possibly one of the unique features of IIT Hyderabad. And at the same time, this also gives you an advantage whenever some visitor is coming. We even had our Sir Abdul Kalam gave a half-a-credit course at IIT Hyderabad.
I don't know.
I also want to tell you that possibly IIT Hyderabad is the only institute, IIT. Can somebody mute themselves if you don't mind?
Yeah,
So
okay. Now.
Yeah. So our own BOG chairman, okay, Dr. BVR Mohan Reddy, who has been with us for almost 10 years now, he teaches a course at IIT Hyderabad. I don't think there is any other IIT where the BOG chairman teaches a course at the institute. So this is a 1 credit course. Every Saturday he comes and spends about 1.5 hours or so and teaches 14 hours of lecture. 1 credit is typically 14 hours of lecture. So that is something which is gives a lot of opportunities for students. We also started a BTech in what is called engineering sciences. Okay, we always wanted students to possibly choose what they want to be rather than somebody telling that you should become this. Okay, and that somehow typically you see in our society, it is typically parents and some relatives, some friends, all of them decide what somebody has to be rather than student choosing what I want to be. So here in this particular BTech program called Engineering Sciences, which is possibly the first interdisciplinary BTech program in an IIT system, I would say, where students pick up a number of courses across the departments. Okay, and then move for 2 years. They continue like that. At the end of 2 years, we ask them, are you interested to continue like this, or do you want to specialize in something? If they want to specialize, the next 2 years, they specialize in one of the branches and they get a degree such as BTech in Engineering Sciences with specialization in Mechanical Engineering, something like that. Or they can, all the 4 years, they can actually take up some courses in mechanical, some courses in materials, maybe some courses in computer science, and then basically want to see, let me explore and then decide what I want to be slowly. Somebody may ask what kind of a job he gets. I would say, let him decide what job he wants to do rather than we deciding what job he should get. So this is something which we have started. One more interdisciplinary, now that we are talking of interdisciplinary BTech program, a true interdisciplinary BTech program we have started recently, which is where faculty from different departments came together and started a BTech program, which is called BTech in Computational Engineering. Okay, here we, as I was telling to Professor Narayan, and these 2 years has given a lot of time for us to introspect about the whole education system. And then we started thinking, what does really industry want? Okay, if you look at manufacturing industry wants to move to industry 4.0, and where they want to bring in a lot of computation and a lot of in our own metallurgy, I can say the Tata Steel, for example, has been moving into a lot of computational material science. Okay, even IIT Hyderabad, we even started an MTech called MTech in ICME, Integrated Computational Materials Engineering. And industries like Tata Steel, which used to take almost 5 years or so to come up with a new steel composition, they are now able to do, thanks to this computational engineering that they are doing, within about 6 months or so, they are ready with a new composition with a better properties. So this particular BTech program that I am talking about is a program where we give a very solid foundation of numerical methods and teach them solid mechanics, fluid mechanics, materials modeling, multi-scale modeling, and so on and so forth. And we don't teach Java, C++, not a typical computer science guy. Okay, and these are computational engineers who are going to be ready for a manufacturing industry rather than a software industry. So that is another thing that we thought. So there is a need for creating such interdisciplinary programs. And possibly this is the first such interdisciplinary program in an IIT system. And for your information, when we look at the JEE opening and closing ranks, this program started 2 years back, 2021 and 22. Last 2 batches, I have only those 2 data points. The opening closing ranks are very close to CSC. So that tells you that there are students who are really looking forward to such kind of experiments they want to do with their life. And possibly they think that this is the kind of direction in which we should move. So what I was trying to say is that gives a kind of a freedom for students to choose. In addition, we also said, let's revamp the whole curriculum. And we now have our BTech curriculum in such a way that we have 5 verticals, 10% basic sciences, 10% basic engineering, and 60% departmental subjects, and 10% what we call it as liberal arts and creative arts, and 10% free electives. Every student, BTech student, has to do these 5 types of courses of those percentages. Otherwise, the student will not get a BTech from IIT Hyderabad. So that basically makes them at least 10% of liberal arts and creative arts. Students do music, dance, painting, variety of them, so that their right brain grows more or less together with their left brain. Most of our engineering education is only left brain oriented. And overall personality development, I strongly believe, is very important when students come out of their 4 years of BTech program. Similarly, the 10% of free electives makes them to take courses from anywhere in the world to be able to add them to their total number of credits and gets the final degree. So this is something which we felt has been helping. The second point that we also thought is it's important to create programs which are actually needed for the industry. For example, we started looking at what kind of programs are the industry is looking forward to. We started a BTech in industrial chemistry. We saw that chemical engineers, while they are very strong in engineering, their knowledge on chemistry is not very strong. So we talked to almost 10 different industries. They said this is one area which is a gap area. So we have now come up with a BTech in industrial chemistry, where we are creating engineers with a very solid chemistry background. These are not MSc chemistry people, please understand. Okay, the industry wants engineering background of the students so that they know the engineering principles, but a solid chemistry background. So like that, very recently, India is talking about what is called the semiconductor mission, India semiconductor mission, and India wants to set up a number of fabs. So we started looking at where are the human resources for taking care of these fabs that are going to come in a few years down the line. So we started a new BTech program called IC Design and Technology, where the student, 3 years, he goes through the coursework on IC design and technology related courses, and 1 year the student spends into hands-on into industry, where he or she learns the fab facilities very well. So this is another area, and this particular BTech program, AICTE has liked that program, and then they have taken our curriculum. They want to now introduce this in a number of engineering colleges. The plan is in the 5 years down the line, we should create a few thousand students of that particular, so that we can take care of the upcoming what is called the fab facilities that are going to be generated in the country. In addition, we have also come up with a diploma curriculum for polytechnics on the same area, and again AICTE has taken up that particular curriculum, and now they want to introduce into various polytechnics. So this is another thing, so trying to look at how you can develop programs that are of needed by the country. For example, we started a BTech in biomedical engineering. We even started a BTech in bioinformatics and things like that. So then we also started looking at how do we get connected to the industry. If you really want the industry to grow significantly, they definitely need a lot of fundamental research that academia do. But that's possible only when you start working together with them. So we started looking at how do we work with them. One immediate thing that came to our mind is that typically we have brilliant BTech students, but whenever they go to an industry, typically for internships, they only go for a 2-month summer internship. So we decided that we will, while revising our whole curriculum, that one of the semesters we wanted to keep completely free for the students so that they can go and spend one full semester at an industry. January to July, our 6th semester, we removed all the core courses, kept only the electives. And we told the students, if you go to an industry and work in an industry for about 6 months, we will give you 6 credits for it. It's not only industry specific, they can also go to an academic institution and also do a research there, but a free time for them to explore what they want to. But majority of the students are going to industries. This year, out of the 5, and I mean last year batch, if I am looking at who are the 3rd year, so that means around 2020 batch. 2020 batch is about 400 students that we have. Out of them, 250 students have chosen this semester-long internship. And industries are coming forward. Almost they are paying 50% of their regular salary to these summer interns to come and work with them for 6 months, because industry started seeing benefit of that. When these students can spend almost 6 months there, there is a lot of benefit the industry also gets. At the same time, the students also get. And once these students start solving some small problems of the industry, then the industry will be behind you and start collaborating with you. We also made what is called one credit course industry lectures as a mandatory course for our MTech students. And now every MTech program, we have about 40 different MTech programs at IIT Hyderabad. Every MTech program, including the individual specializations in each branch. For example, mechanical has thermal, design, and so on and so forth. For each theme also, we identify about 12 to 14 industries. Ask them to talk what is exciting technically in their industry, so that students can to know what are the real problems that they are going to solve. And then at the end of it, we ask them, do you have any problems that our students can do for 1 full year? This is MTech students. This is like a 1-year internship for an industry, but it's a project for our students. And quite a number of industries are coming up with a list of problems. Right now, I can confidently say 40% of our MTech students are working on industry-defined problems as their MTech thesis. And you can imagine when so many students go and solve some problems of industries, definitely there's going to be a very strong tie-up that happens between that industry and academic institution like IIT Hyderabad. And if this can be replicated in a number of institutions, you will definitely see that there is more and more of collaborations. And that will lead to a lot of growth and development of new products and things like that. So that is also helping. We also thought, can we also help the industry people to upskill themselves? We have started about 10 online MTech programs. And we tell these industry people that you don't need to worry about these courses during your working hours. We teach you in the evening hours and on Saturdays. And we say that you come to IIT Hyderabad only on the day of convocation. No need of coming anytime at all. Okay, unless you want to come clear some doubts, it's all up to you. Okay, otherwise there is no need. And we also tell that a typical 2-year program, MTech program, we say we give you 4 years time. Take courses at your leisure. 1 semester you don't want to do any course, don't go do it. You do, these are the total number of credits, do them at your leisure and finish it in 4 years. And we also tell them that typically MTech program at IIT Hyderabad has 24 credits of theory and 24 credits of project. Some people come and say, sir, we cannot do project. It's becoming very difficult for us because our industry does not have enough facilities. Then we say them, okay, do only these 24 credits of theory. We give you what is called an executive MTech. Less than the MTech, we don't get the full MTech, but this is an exit option that we can give. In fact, very recently, we even started giving the exit option for our own BTech students. We have got this approved in Senate and say if a BTech student has completed 50% of their total number of BTech credits, we say you can go out with a diploma. In a few years, we are also thinking of extending this a little more and see if we can think of if 75% of their courses, if they finish, maybe we will be able to think of a BSc or an advanced diploma. We are still debating on the title of that, but that is also on the cards very soon. We also have a plus point of this in a different sense. There are many a times we come across students who have not completed all the required number of credits at the end of 4 years. And unless they complete all the credits, they will not be able to complete their BTech. I remember at IIT Madras one day, somewhere in 2014, one father came and knocked my door. And he said, sir, my son has joined IIT Madras in 2001. And he has not yet completed his BTech. 13 years, please remember. Okay, it was a shocking news to me. Okay, so I called that student and asked, what's going on? He said, sir, I'm losing interest. I still have 2 courses to complete. Then I said, I will give you, that was in January. Okay, I told him that I'll give you a pocket money of 7,000 rupees per month. Okay, next 3 months, sit in my office, morning to night. Nothing else you need to do, just sit and study. Okay, and when I told this, Then as the student accepted finally, by the end of April, he was able to complete the two courses and got the degree that year. Now, what we say is that there is a possibility of the student, such students, they need not have to stay for those many long years. At least at the end of 4 years, if they have completed 50% of the credits, they can possibly take this diploma or possibly an advanced diploma or some other degree and go out. So this is also a boon for such people who do not want to. Because I'm seeing more and more one feature that is emerging out, that what industries want more is the skill of the candidates, not just the degree. Okay, I'm sure in 10 years down the line, people are not going to ask what degree you have, what skills you have. So if a second year student comes to me and says, sir, I have learned enough skills for me to manage whatever I want to manage in my life, okay, at least at this stage, whatever I'm thinking, then why do we need to stop him and force him to stay 2 more years and to take the degree? So this is something that we have been able to enable this, and quite a number of students are coming and asking us, can we go out? Okay, of course, there's a lot of social stigma for all these things. We need to overcome these stigmas. One day they will be overcome. Okay, we have great examples. Steve, our own Apple gentleman. There are hundreds of examples like that. So this is something that we feel flexibility and getting connected to industry is very important. And when you do that, definitely there will be a lot of collaborations will come out. In fact, we even went one step further and said, during COVID, we have learned a lot of how to handle things in an online fashion. So we told the industry people that if you want to do a PhD, most of the IITs so far, you are all aware that there is a residential requirement of 6 months. I remember Dr. Baldev Raj, okay, IG directed by IIT back. We now say to those industry people that you can happily do these courses sitting at your place. You need not have to take 6 months. Many a times it so happens, if an industry, if you want to take a 1 year leave from an industry or a 6 months leave for an industry, the industry may say, thank you very much, you can leave now. That is the kind of difficulties that people in industries face. So why don't we give them an opportunity, kind of enable the environment for them to be able to do things at their leisure. So this is also another thing that we have introduced. Quite a number of industries are now, the number of what is called external PhD students started increasing significantly at IIT Hyderabad now, thanks to this opening up that we have done. So that actually brings, because he's solving an industrial problem sitting in the industry there. And that way, we feel that there is a lot that can be done. In fact, we have also, last 2 years, every year we take 10 PhD students who will take up one DRDO problem from one of the DRDO labs and solves that problem at the end of the PhD. So this way, we are getting connected to the DRDO labs and solving the DRDO. They are not DRDO scientists, by the way. They are regular PhD students of ours. The fellowship is paid by IIT Hyderabad, not by the DRDO lab. Okay, but we felt that it is important to create that kind of people, so that when I say Atma Nirbhar, now India particularly talking about a lot of DRDO labs, that in 10 years down the line, you have to reduce your imports by 50%. Now DRDO started a number of what are called centers of excellence. DIA, they call it as Defense Industry Academia Centers of Excellence. Okay, so this is something that we have been able to establish one such thing even at IIT Hyderabad, thanks to a DRDO cell that we started about 2 years back, and that is something that we gave initiative to us, that we are able to start this. So this is another very important. We also started trying to see how do we generate programs jointly with the various industries and labs. Okay, for example, we have now an MTech program called MTech in E-Waste Management with a lab in Hyderabad called CMET, Center for Materials for Electronic Technologies. Okay, we also thought there is a wonderful healthcare ecosystem in Hyderabad. Why don't we tie up with them? We started tying up with one hospital called AIG, Asian Institute of Gastroenterology, and started an MTech program called MTech in Medical Device Innovation, where the student spends 4 months in a hospital, comes out and identifies one of the problems that the patient or doctor is facing. At the end of 2 years, the student is ready with a prototype. The whole thesis is prototype driven. The whole program is prototype driven. Okay. And that's another very important thing that India has to look at very carefully, that most of our programs are just thesis based and possibly they lead you to a paper and not beyond that. So it's important that it is time that India should start thinking in that. We also tied up with LV Prasad Eye Hospital. We started an MTech in ophthalmic engineering, where the LV Prasad doctors teach the anatomy of the eye. We teach lasers, we teach optics, and we talk about technology for eye care. So that at the end of 2 years, you are generating technologies in the eye care industry. We also tied up with Basavatarakam Cancer Hospital, and we have an MSc in medical physics now, where the student spends 1 full year inside the cancer hospital and then comes out as a radiation expert. So this is another opportunities that are existing. It's not that these were not there before, but somehow we did not open up our eyes so much. It's time that we should start doing so many. For example, we are now talking to Mahindra and Mahindra, and thinking of starting an MTech program on what we call it as lightweighting. Okay, we in fact started an MTech in additive manufacturing with the help of DRDO. Okay, with the mentorship of DRDO. Like that, there are numerous things that one can do. Okay, so it's important that we should start giving thought in this particular direction, and I hope a number of academicians who are all sitting here and INA people also to start looking at possibilities of this. These are just one I would say few examples that I am giving. We can do much more. What is also important that I feel is to enable our students to be more, I would say innovators, rather than just becoming job seekers. It's time that we should create human resources who create jobs rather than seek jobs. At IIT Hyderabad, I can tell you, in the last 4 years, 4 to 5 years, we have almost 125 startups that we have supported, and they have created more than 1,000 jobs and created more than 800 crores of revenue. And how much we have spent? Maybe 3-4 crores. Okay, so this is something that is very, very important for this particular time, if you want really India to become Atma Nirbhar. For example, we have even created an environment where if we started something called projects which we call them as build projects, bold and unique ideas leading to development, we say. Any student, every year, twice a year, we call for proposals from students. Any innovative idea, even a first semester BTech student can give an idea like that, half a page proposal, and a committee goes through them and identifies the good ones, and then we give 1 lakh rupee to begin with and provide a mentorship. Now that we have a building called TIP, Technology Innovation Park, 1.5 lakh square foot area, okay, which is possibly similar to our TRP at Research Park at IIT Madras. We have 2 separate buildings at IIT Hyderabad, just because we wanted these 2 activities to be separated. One Research Park, where industries will take space there and collaborate with us, and we grow together. Okay. The second is a TIP, Technology Innovation Park, where innovators take space there. Okay. People like startups. They take space, and finally we give funding, we provide space, we provide mentorship, and once a prototype is ready, we connect them with an industry. So that's something that we started doing, and we started telling our students that anybody who has a build project, okay, if they want to really take a semester break, for example, somebody says, this is my dream project that I want to work on. I don't want to be disturbed by my coursework. Okay, we say you can take a semester break and we give you 6 credits for it. And the balance of the credits that are there in that particular semester, you can distribute them in the other semesters and be able to finish your BTech program in the 4 years itself, without the need of extending it. At the same time, you had the opportunity of working on your dream project. This is something that we have enabled now. Okay, even a first semester BTech student can take. Okay, because we have one thing that we have removed at IIT Hyderabad, the branch change option we have removed. We said that if you are very clear what you want to do in your life, please come and join IIT Hyderabad. If you are not clear, go and join somewhere else. No problem. Okay, but we do not have a branch change option at the IIT Hyderabad. So that basically means once a student is buying a materials department or a mechanical department, he or she knows that the 4 years they are going to be with that department. And as a result, first year also, we are able to experiment with the courses. As long as the student does 10% of basic sciences, 10% of basic engineering, they can do these courses anytime, okay, throughout the 4 years. So that flexibility has been now brought in. So in principle, the first semester student is not struggling to get a high CGPA to change his branch or her branch. Now the student explores what he or she wants to do. Okay, and that's removes a lot of burden from the minds of the students. I have seen this myself. I remember when I was teaching at IIT Madras, I have seen quite a number of students who were in the class. And I was teaching a first year course once upon a time. IIT Madras had that. I think now again they have removed it. It is Introduction to Mechanical Engineering, Introduction to Materials Engineering, Introduction to Electrical Engineering. We had courses like this. One course alone like that, all other courses were common. And when I was teaching the 50 students in the class, more than 90% of them all are interested to change their branch at the end of the first year. So I had put a goal for myself, saying that at the end of my semester, I should have as little number of students who would feel like changing a branch. Okay, and I should be able to tell them how exciting materials engineering is. And I was reasonably successful. Okay, so this is something that we have now tried at IIT Hyderabad, that so students do not have a pressure at all. Okay, particularly in the first year, because first year pressure is enormous, I can tell you, friends. Okay, because the way they are coached is, this is one thing that I always have a dream. Before I die, I want to see a day where we don't have a JEE in IIT system. There should be some other way of finding good students to be taken into IIT. I think JEE has killed enough. Okay, the youth, I would say. My own son, I have seen up to 10th grade, every day we used to discuss a lot of things about science. 11th and 12th, he says, Appa, I don't have time. Okay, so this is how we have been. And these people suddenly come to IIT where there is nobody to coach anything. So for them to get adjusted to a different way of learning takes time. And by that time, maybe 1 or 2 courses he does a little badly. And also thanks to all these coaching centers, there is nothing to play. Okay, and also nothing, even an extracurricular activity for 2 years. And suddenly they see a lot of freedom in IIT system, and they start enjoying that freedom a little bit. By the time first quiz is over, second quiz is over, or possibly the end sem is also over, and then students ends up into one backlog or something like that, and that pulls somebody down so much that the whole environment changes. So we need to look at that more closely. I think somewhere down the line it will happen. I had 2 dreams about IIT system. One is this. Second, I want to see a day where we don't have placement cells at IIT. Okay, we should have all placement cells converted into counseling cells. We should teach our students and make them the best engineers, and let them decide where they want to go. It's not our job to place them somewhere. Okay, we should tell them what are all the opportunities that you have. That's why I would say they should be counseling cells, where you give opportunity for them to know what are all the opportunities that they have. Of course, someday, hopefully this will happen. Otherwise, nowadays you see every other day, the season of December, is newspapers are filled with comparing one IIT with another IIT. This IIT has 1.5 crores, that IIT has 2 crores. I mean, as if our job is only that. And poor fellow, one professor in charge in each department is stuck with this job of bringing all these placement fellows and then providing accommodation for them and trying to ensure that they are treated well. I'm sorry for that statement, but that's what is happening in most of the IITs, unfortunately. So this is something which I feel one day we would be able to create the students who create jobs. Okay, and that's the environment that at least we are trying to create at IIT Hyderabad, and I'm sure that would have a long-standing impact. Okay, a lot of students are getting motivated. I mean, on the other day, when I met a third year BTech student who said, "Sir, yesterday I paid salary to 5 of my students," I was really filled with joy. Okay, so I say these are the type of students that we should generate, and environment should be created for that. So as educationalists, I strongly believe our job is to create environment, okay, which can ensure students pursue whatever their passion is, okay, and then at the same time students get connected to the industry, bring industry to our educational system, and ensure that there is a strong connection established, and then you will see definitely India, why Atma Nirbhar, India will be a leader. India has been a Vishwaguru once upon a time. I'm a very strong believer of that. Okay, and India will become a Vishwaguru one more time. For example, this August onwards, we are starting one more experiment. We are opening up of all our courses for the whole world. Okay, what do I mean by that? So we are converting all our classrooms into hybrid classrooms. Okay, almost every one of them we have done this now. A little more left out by July end, we'll do that. So that when August, when we start, we are asking all our faculty who are going to teach in the August to November semester, okay, do you want to open up your course to somebody outsider? If yes, how many students you want to take from outside so that you can possibly, be comfortable in evaluating them and giving them a grade. And once we know that, we're going to put on the whole list on our website and say anybody can register for a particular course. Okay, and they can be from India, they can be from outside. Okay, timetable is fixed, of course. Okay, you have to sit in the class according to that timetable, but this gives an opportunity to a student, to even a faculty member in an engineering college or somewhere, or even working professional. I would like to even go to the extent to say to even a homemaker, you should be able to make your education available. And because this is not a degree, we are not going to ask what is your background. If an electrical engineer wants to sit in my thermodynamics class and wants to learn thermodynamics, as long as he passes my exam, I have no problem. Okay, so this is another thing that we are now starting, and I am sure with that we will become a knowledge provider to the whole world, which is what India used to do once upon a time. Okay, I think these are a few thoughts that I want to share with you. Thank you very much for this opportunity, both Professor Narayanan and Ashish. And if you have a few questions, I am willing to take up.
Thank you, Professor B.S. Murthy, for an inspiring and passionate lecture on the experiments you are doing on engineering education. I just recall we were members of the Forum on Engineering Education, where in when in INE. So it's really very interesting, and we will structure the question and answer session in a format. I think Professor Ashish Sen, you can moderate the question and answer session, as well as you can propose a vote of thanks at the end of the lecture. It's really a very inspiring lecture on the various experiments. As director, you were with along with the faculty and the students you were undertaking in IIT Hyderabad. It was really very interesting. Before starting the question and answer session, I have one question. It's a basic, not very. See, you said that the students are allowed to take off a semester on a 6 credit
Internship.
excursion into industry or whatever it is, and so on. How do you evaluate? Because
Correct.
anything has to be
Correct.
really, had to be
Sure,
evaluated.
sure.
So
Sure,
they
sure.
are on their own. There are no teachers. There are
Correct.
no.
Correct.
So how do you evaluate for that particular experiment?
So it is simple, sir. Yes. What we say is like a project. We want to deal it like a project. Whenever there is a project, a student submits a report, a Viva is conducted. Exactly similarly, at the end of the 6 months internship, when the student comes back, we ask them to submit a report. We clearly tell the industry that the student is going to submit a report, so you cannot say everything is confidential. Okay, so you should be able to allow the student to submit the report, and this report, once he submits, a committee will look at the report and conduct a viva. A grade is given. So you're looking at how much seriousness the student has spent. Is it just that he has gone for a vacation and come back, a long vacation, or he has seriously done something?
Okay, thank you. Professor Ashish, you can take over and then moderate the question and answer session, and people can ask questions. Yeah.
Sure. Very inspiring talk, Professor Murthy, as always. In fact, I also listened to your talk at the PMRF symposium, and a lot of passion and so on. So I see a question.
Passion is essential, Ashish. Okay. Yes, I can see one thing that Funny has put on the chat box.
Yeah.
Yes, Funny. Every institute, I want these things to be tried. I mean, not just a particular thing that IIT Madras has tried the BSc program. It's a wonderful initiative. I'm very happy. But a lot of things can be tried. But ultimately, as you rightly said, it has to be bottom up. Okay, it has to be faculty coming together. For example, at IIT Hyderabad, I see, the average age of 300 faculty is 38, for your information. Okay, so there is a lot of energy and enthusiasm. I see. Of course, there is always a certain percentage of people who possibly want to take a back seat. That will always be there. But definitely there are a reasonable percentage of people who are coming together. We have started about 8 different interdisciplinary MTech programs, for your information. They're all faculty. They have come up themselves and said that, sir, we want to start this additive manufacturing, okay, and ICME, okay, and things like that. I can name a number of them. There is an MTech program on energy. There is an MTech program on sensor. There is an MTech program on smart mobility, and variety of them. So these are all faculty. So everything has to be to a large extent bottom up, even if it is reasonably top down. But unless you convince the Senate, nothing happens, right? So ultimately, Senate has to be convinced. So that's why I leave it to the faculty. So quite a number of, for example, about 10 faculty came together and they started a department of heritage science and technology at IIT Hyderabad. We have an MTech in heritage science and technology now, for your information. And this is again faculty driven. So it's possible, but people have to come up. Thank you. Anything more?
So I think while
thank you, Professor Sampath Kumar.
I have maybe I can ask a question. So I was thinking that there may be a strong link between becoming Atma Nirbhar and getting trained hands-on.
Very important.
Also mentioned about some of the excellent initiative that is being taken at Hyderabad. How does this become a sort of a pan-India approach, and more so for undergraduate, and also could be at the elementary level, similar to the approach being taken in, for example, in Japan and a larger part of Europe, because they are taught hands-on, even from the school level.
Hands-on. Sure, you are right. That is something
that we should think about.
Sure. Hands-on, as you rightly said, spending time in the industry is also another. Okay, so hands-on within the labs itself. Quite a number of labs. I mean, slowly labs are vanishing. from BTech curricula. If you look at, some of them are getting converted into virtual labs thanks to COVID. And then as a result, the hands-on is not really. We are insisting at IIT Hyderabad that at least 25% of our courses should be lab-based, which is hands-on. Individual. For example, we have a course, mandatory lab course called digital fabrication, which I think possibly if you take its old avatar possibly is workshop, okay, which is now converted possibly into a digital fabrication, where every student comes up with a CAD model or so, and then prints it. 3D printing, we have a numerous 3D printers. Of course, they are all polymer based, and then they are able to come up with some more. Son is very important. I completely agree with you. But more importantly, I have been seeing a number of images, okay, which are closing some of the core branches like mechanical, civil, and things like that. There are not jobs. I say the only and keep telling them that you get connected. Let 3 or 4 industries for each branch become mentors for that. Then start introducing courses which will be useful for the industry generally, and then ensure that the students go and spend around 6 months or so in the industry. Then you will see definitely the industry will come forward, take good students. I am sure that there are good students everywhere, not just in IITs. Okay. Everywhere there are good students, and it is important to provide opportunities, but that ultimately it is the university which has to take lead on this. Okay, but as you rightly said, if we can introduce more, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, ask your own students who have come to mechanical department, JE first year BTech. Most of them have not touched a pipette or a burette, okay, in their +2. Because these coaching centers do not provide any opportunity for them. But then they somehow get a certificate that they have gone through a lab and they have those many marks in the lab. It's all too much of, I would say, unfortunate things happening. I would only use the word unfortunate, nothing beyond that. Okay. So first time they are doing actually experiments after coming to IIT. Physics lab, chemistry lab, they have never seen it in most of these, the so-called coaching centers. Okay. And nowadays, from 8th grade onwards, these students are in these coaching centers. What to do, unfortunately. So that's important, very important. Hands-on is very important. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, there are no more, looks like. Professor Ashok Mishra, thank you very much, sir. Okay.
Sorry, I have one more question, Professor Murthy. That
yes,
so you said that you do not have an option of a branch change in IIT Hyderabad.
We removed it, sir.
You removed it, but does it not affect the students who are joining IIT Hyderabad?
Yeah,
I mean, because we tell
them we tell them before they join. Very bold letters we write. So you decide whether you want to join or not. But once you join,
thank you.
Okay?
Yeah, I recall we were members of the Forum on Engineering Education, and you given a talk, and many of the experiments you wanted to do, you were able to do it in IIT.
I thought this is an opportunity that God has given me. Okay, I have been a researcher all through, and I'm an experimentalist all through. Okay,
yes.
So I thought, let me do some experiments, because I have seen, sir, 27 years, 12 years at Kharagpur, 15 years at IIT Madras, 27 years. Many, because my branch is one of those branches where people do not join with a lot of passion. Okay, because their JE rank fetches them only that branch. That is how they join.
No, you have the institute as the laboratory now to do your experiments on engineering.
So we see that quite a number of them try out in the first year, but unfortunately not everybody gets into a branch change into computer science. Finally, the remaining 3 years, they keep on cribbing. They do not enjoy their branch very much. Here we say that possibly, why don't you explore that as we always say, every organ of your body is equally important. Every branch of engineering has its own beauty and its own role to play in the overall growth of the country. Thank you, sir.
One more question in here.
Yeah. How to increase enthusiasm and energy of students to take up? I mean, it has to be within, sir. There has to be a fire in the belly, and I think it all depends on the teachers also. Okay. So I think there is a lot of responsibility on the shoulders of the teachers. I mean, many of us do not recognize this very much, to be honest. There's a lot of responsibility. How to increase, again the same question. And how can the MTech programs in IIT be improved? I think, sir, I mean, I have been a member of what is called MTech reforms. Okay, I was actually chairman of IIT Council. Once gave this, a small subcommittee has been formed. I was the chairman of that subcommittee. I strongly believe, I mean, if you give me 2-3 minutes time, I will possibly elaborate what I want to say. Once upon a time, sir, people with MTech used to get even an academic positions in institutions. Even IITs, with MTech, you can become a faculty in an IIT. Okay, it used to happen, but now it is not so. Most of the even private colleges like Geetham, like SRM, unless you have a PhD, you don't get into a faculty position. So now, why should a student do an MTech? Okay, if he is research oriented, he need not have to do an MTech. After BTech, now every IIT allows them to straight away go for a PhD. And a good BTech student, if he joins a PhD program, he gets 31,000. Or if he gets a PMRF, it is much higher. But if he joins an MTech program, it is 12,400. Why should somebody get less money if his interest or her interest is only research? Let them join for a PhD. Okay. Now, the second thing is, then who are all the people who would like to join for MTech? Possibly those who want to have an industry job. With their BTech in some college, they are not able to get a good industry job. They think that with an MTech from an IIT, good stamp, they will get a better job. So then MTechs should be more industry focused. If the MTechs are not industry focused, then obviously he or she will not get a job once again. So it's important to ask ourselves, what does industry want? And do brainstorming with industries and start up programs which are useful to industry. And this is something that we strongly believe. And the kind of programs that we are starting are the ones where we are, I mean, I can tell you, all the interdisciplinary MTech programs that we have started, we have 100% placement so far. We have no problems because we are picking up only those areas where industry needs it. So that's why I feel this is important. MTech should be more industry focused.
Hello, Google.
Yes, anything more?
So there is one more also.
Yeah. How to deal with differences in the thought process of industry and economy? Sir, this is going to be bound to be there, sir. Okay. Each of us have to move towards the language that industry people talk, language academicians talk is different. But both of us are learning from each other. I'm sure now I can see so many industries are. I can tell you one more example. When I was at IIT Kharagpur, I am an electron microscopist. I just needed one what is called jet polisher. I went to Tata Steel, asked for 1.5 lakh rupee because I was doing a lot of TEM samples for Tata Steel. I could not get that 1.5 lakh rupee. When I came to IIT Madras, just a few 5 years back or so, or 10 years back, okay, I went to Muthuraman. I said a crore. He immediately gave me. Okay. So there are changes that are happening in industry. For example, at IIT Hyderabad, one industry came forward and is setting up a school of climate change and sustainability. We are starting an MTech in sustainability this year. We already have an MTech in climate change. We have a department of climate change at IIT Hyderabad. Okay, so industry is putting 100 crores to set up a school of climate change and sustainability. Industries are coming forward and they want to collaborate because they want to develop indigenous technologies. And that is something that is going into the minds of everybody now. Enough of importing. I mean, I think we have been only 3 areas where we have done exceedingly well. I keep telling this everywhere. Why did we do exceedingly well? Because technologies were denied in those 3 areas. Atomic energy, space, missile technology. These are the 3 India is on top. Very close, rubbing shoulder to shoulder with any developed country. But you take other areas, we are not really. Why? Because we were importing a lot of technologies. So it is time that India should develop technologies, should develop machines. For example, at IIT Hyderabad, on the additive manufacturing side, sir, we are doing a component which is called a scramjet engine, which is 1 meter by 1 meter by 3 meter size. The largest component ever made in the country as a 3D printed component is being made at IIT Hyderabad. Not only the component, we have designed the equipment which can do that, which is nothing but wire additive manufacturing is what is people call it as. Okay, and with that machine now, this machine is just installed, and we are going to hand over that machine to DRDL so that they can make such kind of components a large in number in future. So India needs to develop machines. India needs to develop systems in areas which are not just closed areas, but areas which are of importance to all the regular customers. I think you can put a hard time, otherwise I can go on. Professors like
I think time-wise we're okay if Professor Narayanan agrees. There's one more question.
How to ensure an effective collaboration with foreign universities? Possible, sir. I mean, IIT Madras has more than 20 universities with them. They have JDPs, joint doctoral programs, and the number of JSPs, joint supervised programs. I am aware of it. Okay. In fact, I had with a number of universities joint doctoral students. Okay. At IIT Hyderabad also now we have. So this I think we are reasonably doing well. Okay. Only thing is it has been one way, and we should make it 2-way. Mostly it is our students going there. Okay. And we should ensure that our environment, our facilities should start attracting students from overseas, that they come and study here. For your information, we started an interesting program. Again, I did not tell everything because I wanted time to be also limited. For example, this program is called FIRST, Fellowship for International Research Scholars in Technology, FIRST, we say. Where we say, if you are a foreign passport holder and want to join PhD at IIT Hyderabad, we'll give you 60,000 rupees per month, which is double that of our regular PhD students. This MHRD is not giving. This we are giving from our own IRG. And we also say that we give you 1 lakh contingency grant per year for 4 years. So that we want to see if we can attract the good people. Only thing condition that we have put is you should have 8.5 CGPA in your BTech or MTech wherever you have done, in whichever country it is. Particularly our goal is to bring East Europeans and people like Russians. They are all very strong in physics and maths and things like that. If they can come and collaborate with us, I'm sure a lot of good things can also happen. I want to tell and end up with that is saying that IIT system has a lot of freedom. Unfortunately, we don't utilize it so much. We should utilize our freedom. Freedom is there to be utilized. But of course, freedom comes with a lot of responsibility. So you have to think twice before you do anything. And of course, IITs do that very well. Okay. We have a very strong Senate in every IIT which ponders over everything so much. But it is also important that the Senates also become proactive. Okay. We need to become proactive rather than reactive. Okay. So we have to start sitting, every IIT should start sitting and thinking, how should an IIT be 50 years down the line? And I should implement it today and tomorrow. Of course, government is not giving money, I know. But we can find ways. We can find ways. When there is a will, there is always a way. I think that with that, let's close now. Thank you very much. Thanks for this opportunity.
Professor Sen, you can propose a vote of thanks. And thank you once again, Professor B.S. Murthy, for an inspiring lecture. Okay.
Sure, sir. So, Professor Murthy, thank you very much for delivering this very motivating talk. I'm sure there are many students here who would have benefited, and it was also very much enlightening for us. And it was very nice meeting you and talking to you in person, after the long gap after COVID. And I'm sure you would take Hyderabad to a greater height. In fact, I'm sure the country is also getting benefited. So many contributions that INA is making through scientists, you and others. So many thanks for your time and for a wonderful lecture.
Thank you, Ashish. Thank you very much. Thanks to all my friends.
No, we should also thank all the audience who had really attended the
so thank you
lecture.
all the attendees for sparing time on a Saturday afternoon. I think I would take it as a dessert, today's lunch. So that is how I would take it. And also thank you, Professor Narayanan, for
and also INAE headquarters for providing all the infrastructure and then organizing the whole event.
Hosting the event.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Bye, friends.
Okay.